So I was going to repot some of my plants, and I thought I would show you guys how I repot plants, because I thought you guys might like to see that. I have an ivy. I forget what this guy's called. My purple heart, bleeding heart, whatever you want to call it. I have Henry. He's a mess. And my Syngonium, one of them. Yes, that's what I'm gonna repot. So repotting was actually what I was in charge of at my old garden center. We called it uppotting. So we take a pot, a smaller pot, and move it to a bigger pot, a size up, which is where we got the term uppotting. That was the area that I was in charge of, and because I was good at it, I knew what I was doing. I always made sure the plants were healthy. I knew how to take care of the roots, the soil, the different types of soil for the plants. So basically what I'm saying is I know what I'm doing, and this has worked for me, for my plants. If it doesn't work for you, for your plants, try something else. Try to see what works, because that's the most important part, is making sure that what you do works for your plants. I know what works for my plants and the plants in my area, because I was the manager over that section of sorts, So I have a lot of experience in that. So if you live in the Midwest, this is what works for me. I live in the Midwest. But you know, take what anyone says with a grain of salt, especially online. Everyone's gonna do what they think is best for their plants and what has been working for their plants. So find what works for you. This is just what works for me and what I learned as the person in charge of the uppot section of the garden center that I used to work at. So this is the potting soil that I use. It's just like the cheap stuff, but I find that it's a really good mix. It has like perlite and wood pieces and soil. And what I do is fertilize after I'm done repotting. And there's gonna be a lot of debate on this, but I don't like those like Miracle Grow soils because they are too dense for plants, I think. They tend to promote root rot. And so I've just sort of been using this stuff because it absorbs moisture, but it lets a lot go through because it does have that perlite and the wood bark in there. And then it's just plain soil, so I always have to fertilize. So what I do first is loosen the roots in the pot. I have my parchment paper here because I don't have newspaper. This guy actually took as a cutting from my old garden center. I'm just gonna take off any dead pieces and then try to break up the roots as much as I can. Loosen the potting soil from the roots. Now put some new soil in. And just pack the soil around. I'll do the same for the other plants. This guy has lots of root-bound roots, so what I'm actually going to do is try to break up some of the roots. Don't be afraid to take out some of these old root-bound roots. Your plant will grow new roots, especially if they're healthy like these are. always want to leave anywhere from a ½ inch to an inch between the top of your pot and the level of your soil. That way you don't overflow the pot with water. If you can see the soil, there is absolutely nothing but a peat mixture. There's nothing to allow air to these roots, which is probably why he's getting overwatered, even though I rarely water him. And because this one has such long roots, what I'm gonna do well, that's not good. Alright, I guess this ivy won't get repotted today. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and put the plant in where I want it to be. And then I'm gonna fill in soil around it. The reason I'm not giving this a bigger pot is because it's not quite proportional to the plant size. So, future Miranda here, what I meant to say, what I was meaning by all that, was the roots wouldn't fit in a bigger pot because of the proportion of soil to plant to roots. It would have gotten root rot essentially if I put it in a bigger pot. And I've had to deal a lot with that guy with root rot, so I'm trying to keep him happy, and I want to use a terracotta pot, but I don't want to give him too much soil, if that makes sense. I want him to flush out a little bit more. I'm going to trim him down to maybe get some new growth, which it's already starting to have a lot of new growth. So, dirt around there. There we go. So, that is it. That is how I pot plants. That is how I do it. Yeah, and now I'm going to fertilize them, water them in really good, and see how they grow. I hope you guys learned something, or, you know, at least saw some more plants. I don't know. Yeah.